I'm David Hirschman. I'm the co-founder of Street Fight, and I'm here with Tara Brannigan, who is the head of marketing for Cadillac Book, which I'll let you describe what Cadillac Book is.
Sure. Book by Cadillac is a first-of-its-kind luxury vehicle subscription program. We are beta testing in New York, and the beauty of this program is that it is a flexible, simple, and personalized way to drive a vehicle. And what I mean by that is we take care of a lot of the things you usually have to do when you drive. We deliver the vehicle to you. We allow you to choose from a portfolio of our top trim vehicles. We take care of the insurance, the maintenance, your 4G LTE, everything you'd want to have a really great drive, so that all you have to focus on is where you're going, what you want to do.
So it's kind of like you're leasing an entire fleet?
It is. What we like to say is, rather than having 5 vehicles in your driveway, you can have one book subscription. You get access to our sedans, our SUVs, our Escalades, our sports cars, and then depending on what your needs are, if you want to have a fun weekend, drive RVs as fast as you can go do that. But if during the week you need a more reliable vehicle, a more vehicle that's for everyday driving, you can move into our CT6 sedan.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about where the idea came from and kind of what kind of drivers these are appealing to,
Sure.
these kinds of subscriptions.
So the idea actually started from a group of our employees who did a course over at Stanford, which was for executives on the rise who were challenged to think about the industry from a different perspective. If you weren't in the auto industry, what would you create? And they harnessed onto this idea that one of the best things of owning a car is that second you're driving it off the lot and all the promise it has and that pride and excitement of that new car smell and feel. And they wanted to figure out how we could capture that for the consumer on a daily basis. So with that idea, we did a co-creation about a year ago in the New York area with 20 customers who were in the program, tested it out from an operational perspective, and helped us get it to where it is today. And now we're in the beta testing market where we actually have paying customers.
And do you think it's the kind of thing that would work best in an urban environment where, people don't necessarily want to drive all the time, or is it kind of something that you could bring out nationwide?
Sure. What's really interesting about this model, if you think of the landscape, a lot of mobility solutions have been focused on urban areas. If you think of your Ubers and Lyfts and Zipcars and Mavens, very urban oriented. Since Book is a vehicle subscription that comes to you within our delivery radius, it allows itself to be for both urban people, since we're in New York living in Manhattan, or if you're out in the suburbs and are an enthusiast and need a vehicle. So I think we're one of the models that really allows for both, and it broadens who we appeal to.
So Cadillac's undergone kind of a fairly big shift in marketing over the past 3 years, is that right? 2014?
Yep, that's right.
Can you tell me, you moved your offices from Detroit to New York and to Soho and have kind of a new regime. Can you describe a little bit about what that's about and kind of what you're working on?
Yes, about 3 years ago. So Cadillac is part of General Motors, for those of you who don't know, and we still are. There was a decision made to put extra investment and energy into Cadillac and to restore their brand to the pinnacle of premium where it once was. And part of that was acknowledging that we have a different consumer than a lot of the other vehicles within the GM portfolio, different consumer than consumers of those vehicles, and wanting to be closer to that luxury consumer. New York being a very strong luxury market, we picked up the marketing, sales, finance organization of Cadillac, brought them to our offices in Soho, which we also have an experience center. If you're ever in the neighborhood, come and visit, and kept that separate from GM, but then also kept very much ties into a lot of the synergies you have with the manufacturing of vehicles, the planning, and a lot of that operational infrastructure. So getting the best of both worlds in some sense. So we physically move, which is obviously a big indicator of the movement we're having as a brand overall. And we came out with a new campaign called Dare Greatly, where we acknowledge that a lot of the customers and people who choose to drive Cadillacs are a little bit different. They dare greatly in their lives. They dare greatly for what their life can be. And so we challenge customers to dare greatly, and people who embrace that ethos to choose Cadillac as an expression of that daring.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you rolled out this new product to local markets, and how you also just how you think about local marketing generally?
Yes, for a big company, thinking of local markets and how we do local marketing today is largely an effort that our dealers are focused on. And when you think of most large companies, their expertise lies a bit more in mass communication, less localized. The challenge we had with Book, which was an exciting one, is although we're a big company, acting like a startup, starting small, starting locally. So all of a sudden we did have to put a hat on of, if you are a small business owner, how would you approach a market with smaller marketing budget and wanting to be really efficient? Where we've leaned so far has been influencers in our program. The word of mouth of who's been in our program has been very important to us, and then also leaning on our PR relationships on a local level. But as we look to explore other markets, we acknowledge that being able to work with companies that can identify our target customer, somebody who would be interested in this space, has this type of mindset, would have the disposable income and to pay $1,500 a month, helping us identify those people and speak specifically to them is going to be very important as we look to expand within other cities.
So what kinds of digital marketing, I guess, methods did you use in order to kind of get the word out about this?
So this doesn't happen often, but we were fortunate enough that we actually had to push our marketing efforts out because the interest in the program was much higher than we anticipated. We leaned very heavily on search in our websites. Quite simple, not something we would normally say. As we look into growing into other markets, acknowledging that we can't always rely on PR, it would be targeted partnerships that already have relationships on a local level, people that we can target geographically and identify people on a geographic level would be where we'd focus as we go into other markets.
And is there something particularly about the book, just having a subscription service for a car, it seems like it would be aimed more at a younger audience. Is that part of the idea behind this? Is it more for millennials?
That was a big driver for the program. What we know is that in 2020, around 80% of the luxury automotive market is going to be Gen X, Gen Y, and that the mentality of that group is they're a lot more interested in experience versus ownership, and that's why Book by Cadillac particularly resonates with younger generations like the millennials.
Terrific. So we had our time cut short a little bit, so if there are any questions from the audience, I wanted to give a chance for that, for Cadillac and local marketing. Well, then I
think we have one guy, one brave guy back there.
What are the next few cities or the rollout plan? Is it just the tri-state area, or are you hitting LA or, et cetera?
So we are still in our beta phase. There's a lot of learning to be done from an operational perspective, marketing, scaling perspective. We're trying to run like a lean startup and constantly iterating on what we're learning. We're exploring future markets, but haven't made definitive plans yet on what the next ones will be. But we do see a lot of promise in what that could mean for the business model, especially for business travelers, people who tend to be bi-coastal. If you could have one membership for a vehicle, that if you're in New York and use it for your daily business, and then have a business trip to, say, Miami, LA, or go on vacation, that subscription can go with you rather than having to figure out, how do I use a car? What car am I getting?
Has there been anything really surprising in the beta test, like things that you didn't expect from, of how people use it or how it might work?
One of the interesting things is the type of person interested in the program. We thought it would really be somebody who was excited about the variety and the promise of trying out all different vehicles. And that certainly has proven to be true, but we have also seen this other segment who is a little bit more familiar with our portfolio and or what vehicles they like. So they tend to pick one or two that they really enjoy and like the certainty of those two, and probably value the simplicity of the program and the lack of hassle of figuring out maintenance and insurance and everything. So to some extent, there are people who really like the choice of the program, and some people who like the certainty and the fact that we take care of everything else from them. That would be a surprising
But if they
factor.
stick with one car, isn't it just like having a lease, essentially? Like,
It's different in that it's still month to month. So if you're traveling, your needs change, you have that lack of commitment, quite frankly. And that's important for Cadillac because we know that there's a segment out there who have dismissed Cadillac maybe, or have tried it in the past and don't think it's a car for them. Being able to join for just a month for $1,500 is a pretty low barrier, so we're quite confident in our products. Come for a month, we think you will stay, but in the case that you don't, you can cancel after your month and find a different solution.
do people try it for just a month like that? Because that would be cheaper than renting a car for a month, obviously.
To date, most people have stayed in it, and I would even say more than maybe we anticipated. You always think there'll be some level of churn. There have been very few people who came in just because they're more of that early adopter mentality. They didn't need the program, but they're enthusiasts on anything new and wanted to be one of the first. But we've been pretty impressed that people do repeat over a couple months.
Cool. Well, thanks so much. And,
Thank you.
Oh, you have one more question?
Can you use it 30 days a month, or is it just a limited time? And is it delivered to you because in New York, garage is so essential? So, what do you do if you take it for 20 days? Do you just have somebody, a valet, come pick it up every day?
So it is a white glove concierge service where the vehicle is delivered to you at your time and place that you desire, within our radius, of course. And the concept is that you will always have a vehicle in your possession. So it is for people who have more frequent need for vehicles. So you would have it for a full consecutive 30 days would be your membership in the program. Although if you want to change in and out of different cars within those 30 days, that's what the program allows you to have flexibility to do.
Okay, I think we're out of time. Thanks so much. Please give her a hand.
Thank you.